Today supposedly marks the most terrifying day of the year. Personally, I have little interest going trick-or-treating, but I'm eager to delve into some eerie experiences found in shooter games. I've handpicked these experiences because they each excel in various aspects of horror. They are 343 Guilty Spark from the first Halo, We Don't Go to Ravenholm from Half-Life 2, and Semper Fi from Call of Duty: World at War. 343 Guilty Spark is the first mission we're gonna take a look at. I feel that it's important to provide some context. Your visit to the Drury Swamp marks the halfway point of the game, the point where it flips entirely on its head. Up to this point, the ring world you found yourself on was very mysterious. You know it's some sort of weapon, and can infer that the Covenant you've been fighting probably want to use it. And that is the first element of horror implemented here. Mystery. The issue presented by the lack of intel is only compounded by the heavy fog and ambience in the environment. As you make your way through the thick haze with anxious bile sitting in your stomach, you come across a few patrols of grunts and jackals. This is peculiar because they are almost always accompanied by elites that lead them. This should immediately raise a flag to more keen players. A less subtle way to rouse the player's suspicion follows not long after, with one of the patrols getting into a firefight with an unseen party wielding human weapons. Once you enter the facility said party was lurking in, they are nowhere to be seen. Why would your own allies dip like that? After the elevator politely calls itself up for you, you progress deeper into the facility, where the element of environmental storytelling makes its debut. There's green gunk dripping from the ceiling, blue blood splattered all over the walls, enemy shades are set up in odd positions, and of course, the crazed marine in the trashed room. Apparently, word is telling me that the word crazed is offensive and not inclusive. Anyways, you approach a locked door, and the following cutscene uses an interesting method to create exposition. You view the helmet cam of Private Jenkins. The recording ends with the reveal of the Flood, and you quickly realize you need to get the hell out of here. The Flood are quite a different enemy to fight than the Covenant. Like their name would suggest, they swarm the player, and combined with the fact that combat forms are highly resilient to melee attacks, the Flood became a claustrophobia-inducing pain in the ass. Thankfully, the shotgun is introduced not too long after the Flood is, and it's quite effective with dealing with them. I commend Bungie for managing to pull off the task of creating a horror level in a game that is very much a power fantasy. Remember, you assume the role of a 7-foot-tall super soldier encased in titanium armor who leaves aliens sitting in a pile of their own blood on a minute-to-minute basis. So instead of compromising what Halo is at its core, Bungie decided to focus on other areas such as atmosphere, mystery, and environmental storytelling, and it works to great effect. If you're enjoying this video so far, I hope you stick around and maybe consider leaving me a like, and if you have something you would like to say, please comment. I like to imagine that these videos can be a place for conversation and discussion. I recently decided to revive my YouTube channel after an era of sporadic, infrequent uploads, and I am blown away no pun intended, by the performance of my last several uploads. I encourage you to watch them if you can spare the time, and maybe consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this. I push myself to create higher quality uploads, and together I believe we can achieve something great. Anyways, I'm done shilling, for now at least. Time to analyze the next level. I feel like Ravenholm sets out to be as obviously creepy as possible, and no subtlety or nuance at all. It is definitely more of a generic horror feel, completely different from what the last mission we talked about, 343 Guilty Spark, set out to do. Just earlier in the game, you got the gravity gun from Alex, and a quick spoiler. You use it a lot in this mission. There isn't a lot of ammo in this level, and it works to the benefit of the gameplay experience actually. When your gun runs dry, there's a feeling of desperation, and you quickly scan the environment to see if you can use any of the many physics objects lying around to fend for yourself. The way this level mixes up gameplay is not only its greatest strength, but it also contributes to the horror scene here. You aren't fighting the Combine with the help of rebels anymore. You are dealing with a zombie infestation with minimal supplies on hand. The building towards the beginning of the level serves almost as a mini tutorial, nudging the player to pick up the circular saws with the gravity gun and use them to decapitate the zombies. Also, in true Half-Life fashion, there are puzzles. Well, some people would call them puzzles, maybe you'd call them interactive level design. I'll just call them puzzles, right? And a lot of them that are present on this level reward resourcefulness, such as the card traps. Because with the card traps, you can set them off, and not only is it necessary to progress in the level, so you have to solve it in order to go on, but you can use it as a sort of environmental hazard to kill some zombies and save yourself some ammo. New enemies are introduced in this level, including the bane of my existence, the black head crabs. Don't call me racist, okay? Honestly, they scare me. Something about their neurotoxin and their presentation just gets my adrenaline rushing when I encounter one I was not expecting. The fast zombies are also something you want to look out for. The level design and environmental art is truly phenomenal. The ghost town has you wandering from building to building, making the player constantly switch elevations in an attempt to reach the outskirts of the town, ending up at a church built over a mine you must crawl your way out of. When you finally leave Ravenholm, it's a sight to behold. Before this point in the game, I considered City 17 to look quite dystopian and desolate. But after seeing the daylight once again, there's a newfound appreciation for what the Resistance is fighting for. A lesson in gratitude done well. Now, I would have to say that the environment-orientated gameplay, no small thanks to the gravity gun, is what makes this level distinctively spooky. This experience isn't a power fantasy. Only your wits and your fancy new toy can get you out alive. The puzzles and layout of this map reinforce this, encouraging the player to walk tiptoe. And the atmosphere, while it is cheesier than something like 343 Guilty Spark, it still gets the job done. Semper Fi is intriguing because unlike the other two levels, it is based off of a historical event, the Second World War, the bloodiest conflict in the existence of mankind. Personally, I was not part of that generation where World War II media, especially in video games, was all the rage. And even though I'm not proud to admit this, roll my eyes whenever I hear a World War II themed project be announced. It isn't World War II I have a disdain for, but rather the fact that it's been done to death. The amount of times I've seen or heard about D-Day, even through the subtlest of implications, must be close to a 4-digit figure. This mission, however, is not one of those occurrences. In fact, half this game takes place on the Pacific Front, a much appreciated change of locale. This side of World War II is quite underrepresented in the immeasurable amount of World War II media. Treyarch made good use of this opportunity, taking full advantage of the relative unfamiliarity of the Pacific campaign among players to deliver a truly striking and visceral experience. Semper Fi opens up with a briefing, the iconic style of Treyarch's cutscenes in its infancy. Corporal Roebuck lays it simple, the Japanese don't play fair. A few moments later, we get to see that through the eyes of a captured Private Miller. Fortunately, we get saved at the very last moment, of course. You and your squad push up the beach, pretty standard stuff, and you forget about what happened earlier. You can even save Private Ryan, an interesting cameo. However, as the Marines decide to cut through the dense jungle, things take a nasty turn as your team fall into some nasty traps. After making your way to extraction, the level ends with a jump scare that wounds Private Miller, and the Marines make their way off the island. While the atmosphere within this mission certainly fosters a palpable sense of tension, it is not primarily intended to evoke conventional quote-unquote fear in the minds of the player. Treyarch through this particular level endeavors to convey a more profound and haunting message: the sheer horror of warfare, the grim realities of combat, the chaos of battle, and the unrelenting brutality of the conflicts are starkly portrayed, emphasizing the profound toll that war takes on both the human spirit and the physical realm. The developers artfully weave together elements that serve to immerse players in the disquieting and distressing aspects of armed conflict, prompting a deeper reflection on the dark facets of human history and the harrowing experiences faced by those who have endured the ravages of war. This is what Call of Duty used to be about before it went down the path of being a botched action movie. Infinity Ward and COD 4 laid down the perfect template for depicting modern warfare, balancing grit and ease of access in a way that is very thought-provoking. Treyarch borrowed both the engine and the formula and adapted it to a World War II setting to a great success. So there you have it, from the enigmatic horrors lurking in the heavens to the eerie solitude of a forsaken town and the relentless brutality of war. These haunting encounters serve as a testament to the enduring power of interactive storytelling and remind us that what we think of as one emotion or mood is actually a spectrum, and that these feelings can be evoked in a variety of manners. This was most definitely a fun video to create. Anyways, I'll see you on the next one.